Have you ever seen, or did you ever get yourself trapped into believing that on those unreal fakerpreneurs, people on social media who've only been in business for 5, 6, or 7 years, and they have already showing glamorous life, and perhaps you start believing that that's how you should be, and you start to make mistakes because you're trying to live like them. You think that's normal to live like them when you've been only being a baby in business, and you commit huge mistakes. So if you've been in 5 years in business or less, this is going to serve you greatly. So listen to this podcast to avoid these mistakes. And if you have been over 15, 20 years in business, I'm sure you're going to relate to this podcast. You've perhaps already made this mistake, or you can relate to it in a positive way.
Welcome to the Wings Mobile Detailing Business and Automotive Podcast, the only podcast that will guide you on how to start and grow six-figure companies. As our team expand from one business location to worldwide domination, you will get step-by-step insights from a millennial franchisor and franchise owner with your host, Andre Mezzalera.
Guys, we have to realize that business does not and should not materialize big during the 3, 5, or 80 years in business. It should not materialize that big the way we see it on Instagram and other people perceiving that image of what we should have. And therefore, sometimes when we see that, and indeed we already have our own company, we start to make big money, and that happens with a lot of businesses. I could safely say 95% of business owners go through this, where they make money, they start money coming in, and they think that, okay, maybe this is it, it's working and then everything's going great, and then they start getting excited on it because they also see it on Instagram, people that have been only 5 years in business. And you know how Instagram can really misrepresent what it should look like at the beginning. And then you use that excitement, the money coming in, and start spending it. Spending on investment back to your business, because you've seen, that guy has been, that I saw on Instagram, all these other business, 95% of business owners has been in business for 5 or 6 or 8 years. They already have a Ferrari or whatever, material stuff that they have. And we think that it is normal. We think that that's something, okay, I've owned my business for a long amount of time, about the same amount that these people that I see everywhere around social media, have been in business for. And I started to believe to myself that, it's normal. Okay, this money coming in, I should use to buy nice things or to invest big back in my business. That's a huge mistake. Because those people that you are following, that you think that's how it's supposed to be, you think that, okay, that certain amount of money that I have saved around is not going to go away, and it can even feel indestructible. You feel like whatever you have is indestructible, and therefore you start spending money because you think it's normal, because you've seen other businesses that has been in business for only freaking 5 years. And you think that money that you have can be spent, can be invested back. I don't have much of a safety net. And you go and spend money. And you think it's going to work out. You think all that. And it might have been working out. It might have been working out for the past 3, 4 years. Everything, wherever you put your money in, it grows. So you start getting the groove. You start getting excited and putting it back and not watching out for things. And then finally, something hits. Something hits that you were not expecting, and you realize how indestructible you have been feeling. And that's what happens to 95% of business owners. They get excited for what's coming in, and then they either burst out or go through a really huge setback, which that happens to everyone. Although, setback is not a negative thing. It happens to everyone, happens to every business. You must have setbacks for you to grow. But if you can avoid, the more you can avoid, the more strategies you can take to avoid big setbacks, the better it is, the better off you're going to be. And this is a huge mistake that a lot of people see, because they perceive that it is normal to have all that. They start feeling indestructible, and they go and spend more. So differently than what you see on Instagram, um, it can sometimes make you feel like you're behind also. So if you're in business and you see all those people 4 or 5 years in business, showing nice cars and showing, oh, they show that they have everything, because they portrayed a false image to entrepreneurs. And that is a killer nowadays, because Instagram's out there. It's so easy to fake stuff, and some people start to feel behind. They're only 4 years in business. It's a baby. I personally have been, less than 7 years in business, and this is just the start. But a lot of people that are on this start, even if money is coming in, they feel like they're failing because you don't drive a Ferrari when you have only been 5 years in business. You don't drive nice cars. You don't have this, and you think that you should have by the time that you've been in business, because of what you've been seeing the world outside, where the actual successful people that have grown their business, things start to materialize big 20-30 years in. Sure, you can have money to buy those nice things, even 6 years in business, 7 years in business. You can already have money to buy that, but consequently, that setback's gonna hit you, because you would have money to buy that, but you shouldn't use that money. You're not prepared to have those things. It's not the right time. So really be careful, especially when things are going well. You can follow mentors, you can follow business owners, but real people, real guys, not any Instagram guru that have their business and drive, charter a jet and pretend it's theirs, pretend you can have all of that. And then they give a misperception for actual real entrepreneurs who's trying to grow and trying to make a name for themselves, and then they start to deceive those people. These people get deceived by those who show off and things that it's not really, people charting jets. It's obviously that's not theirs. It's obviously that, people have been only 5 years in business. A lot of Instagram people out there, Facebook, on social media, who goes out, charter a private jet for themselves, and they only been 7 years in business, 7 years doing their thing. And then those people who are beginning, that are 3 years in business, they start to think that that's something that you're supposed to have, because they're like, okay, wait, I'm either failing, or if they are not failing, maybe they are making good money, and then they start spending it because they think it's normal, because they've seen those fake people out there doing it in the wrong time. And so then what happens is they burst out. That's simply what happens. And that's the reason you don't want to follow everybody. When you're in business as a mentor, you just like if you're gonna learn something, you don't go to any teacher. You don't want to learn that from everybody that's in business, because if you do, you're gonna learn from those that fails. You're gonna learn from that 95% of people who actually fail, don't do it the right way. Which the right way, there are many gurus out there which they actually end up and they teach you, they show you, not technically, not exactly teach you, oh, that's how you make money, step 1, 2, 3. Because what it takes to grow a company is completely different than what all of those people are showing you on Instagram. The majority is showing you on Instagram. They're really good ones. They're really good, legit ones that actually show that what you have to do is work. But what do you mean by work? When they say work, it's simply the accumulation of money. How do you actually build wealth? It's 1 + 1, 2. And then you go to the next step, multiplication. 2 + 2. You start growing like that. It's not the way that most people try to show you. You go from 1 + 1, 2, and then you jump to 100. You do something magical out there. Some magic formula, some freaking secret. There is no freaking secret. It's called just accumulation. Do one step after the other. Takes time. Being patient. And people are not patient nowadays, and it's so easy to fall into that false image that success is created through a magical formula, and not from actual hardcore accumulation of knowledge and just amount amounting money and knowing how to do more money in a faster pace of time. By faster pace, for you to learn that, it takes years. It takes a lot of years to go in business. And I don't say that just to myself from my own experience, because I personally don't have the ability, or I shouldn't have the credibility now to speak that to myself, but I speak that to many, not too many though. I'm not following 20 gurus out there. It's just, sometimes it takes 2 or 3. You see 2 or 3, even though they have different mentalities. But that's how they build their wealth. There are guys out there who've been really growing successful business. They have multiple cars, multi-million-dollar homes that is all paid for, a private jet that's completely paid for. That's the real wealth. And the way that all of them accumulated that money is in the first 20 years. They have been sleeping on their wherever they're manufacturing, on their business, on their company. They've been sleeping there, every single day, knocking on doors, going out there, getting it, learning how to do more money. But the second year, sometimes they make $1,000 a month. 3 years in business, they're just making $1,000 a month. They're not spending on nice cars. Then after 20 years or something, that's when, if you really want to grow it big, you have to know that you have to have that patience. If you really want to grow it big. If you want to grow it big and you don't have the patience, and you feel like you deserve, or that the right thing is to earn all of those things in only 5 years, you burst out. So all it takes is for you to just be realistic. If you're getting in business, or you're already in business, and you're getting yourself trapped into thinking that you're unstoppable, just take your time, step back, and know to yourself, hey, this is going to take 20 years. This is going to take 30 years to materialize. It's going to materialize way before. But what I'm saying is, for you to really amount to real success, know that you're not supposed to be living that glamorous life in the first 5 years, like in the first 8-10 years, that most Instagrams try to show that that's how you're supposed to live. If you're really amounting to real success, that will come 30 years in business. And also, during setbacks, before you hit the 10-year, 15-year, 20-year mark, then just like in education, when you learn everything in the beginning, and then you get the benefits of it, after you are all these years in business, bursting your ass off, not overdoing things that you're not supposed to overdo. Then know that after those 20, 25 years in, okay, you're gonna finally be able to breathe and really live that successful life. You learned your lesson. You're gonna learn a bunch of lessons, a bunch of setbacks, learning from your own mistakes that sometimes you cannot learn from others. You have to go through bad moments yourself to learn. Everybody's like that. You can learn a lot from others to avoid a lot of mistakes. Listen, open your mind, but a lot of things, the actual learning process, you're going to learn when you actually go through that, when you actually go through the setback, when you learn from your own mistakes. And once you do, that's when things start to go north. A final example that I really love to use, and I like to use other people's example, successful people. I learned a lot from Andy Frisella, because I still really don't think that I have the credibility to use my own examples, because I haven't gone 20 years in business. But what I learned a lot from is what I've studied from all these guys, and it all seemed similar. For over 5 years, I've been really getting myself deep into those successful people, not in motivational style, the technical part, what it takes actually to succeed. And I see that it all follows the same trend. It all follows that same, it's what we've been talking about on this podcast. And Andy Frisella, he been in an interview, and is a multi-million-dollar guy. He has 3 Lamborghinis, Ford GTs in his garage. He has multiple collection of cars, all paid for. It's ridiculous, it's awesome. Owner of First Form, and he brought it up. He has all these cars, and he's a social media guy. He's the number 1 podcaster, and Frisella. And he talks about business, and he brought it up, how he doesn't like showing all his Lamborghinis. He's afraid. He's actually afraid. This guy's the guy that has been sleeping on his office floor for, I think, 20, 15, 20, 25. I don't want to mistake here, of his life. He's been living that, eating dirt for all those years, and then his success finally materialized to all those things. He didn't buy it before. He buy it in the right time at the end, now that he's living his success. And he doesn't like to show it sometimes. He does, but sometimes he doesn't like to show it because he doesn't want people to think that, he doesn't want to, initial entrepreneurs to think that they are supposed to have that to be in business, you're supposed to be able to afford those things, and then he doesn't like to show it because he doesn't want to destroy those initial business owners that starting their business, and they already think that they're supposed to have those things, and then they make a little money, and then they start buying it in the wrong time, and then they burst out, and then everything's bad. So that's the reason he doesn't like to show it, because see, like a lot of fake Instagrams out there, End is a real one, and he talks on his podcast about what it actually takes. Is what I've been just telling you guys right now. What I listen to is that dirt eating. He says about aggressive patience. You have patience, work aggressively towards the goal. You can put material goals, but being aggressive, but be patient to know that you shouldn't get that glamorous lifestyle in the first 10 years. You should not, because if you do, it was gonna mount against you, and you're gonna learn through a bad setback, which is not gonna be fun. But no setback is fun. But then, if you do, that's it, guys. That's it. I think I covered a lot on this today. But subscribe. I'm gonna continue talking about the actual parts of business, more of the technical stuff. And the more I learn from other people, the more I'm going to pass towards you guys, what I've learned from all these other people and from my own experience, from my own perspective. I am in business for over 5 years now, and I own 2 locations here in Virginia Beach, servicing multiple cities in Virginia, actually. So I'm a franchisor, opening more new locations around, and only 5 years in business, so I grow reasonably safe in a way, but obviously there's less consequences of running, taking less risk on it, but it's amounting to a legit growth, to a stable growth. I don't want to say stable, but with a good foundation, because that's a benefit I get from listening to these podcasts from these other people, and that's what I want to pass to you guys, my knowledge, not only from my own experience, my little experience that I have, but also from a bunch of people that I've been listening non-stop to. And I'm going to continue passing it to you guys. And so subscribe to the podcast and you'll learn a lot more. Thank you.